Hello Internet, and welcome back to Financial Journey. 2021 is now a quarter of the way through, which means it's time for our monthly net worth update. In these videos, I will be detailing the current state of my family's finances using actual values. I'll admit, after last month's bonus extravaganza, March isn't nearly as exciting. But there have been some important changes that we'll discuss today. If you missed last month's video, I'll be sure to link it if you'd like to check it out. As always, net worth is the total value of all your assets less any liabilities you hold. There's a few different nuances in the way that people calculate this, but for the purposes of this channel, we're doing the basic what you own minus what you owe. Per usual, let's start with our assets. If this is your first time here, when we're discussing our assets, really I'm going to focus on the big ticket items, things like our home and vehicles, and not include smaller items such as designer apparel, electronics, furniture, and so on. First, we have all of our non-retirement assets. As this was a relatively quiet month, I've just gone ahead and added all of the relevant numbers. For the most part, things here held steady, as most of our income is either spent or invested. Our cash holdings increased $200, and the only significant changes here were in our investments and HSA accounts. For our normal brokerage investments, even with a $3,000 contribution, these rose by an additional $2,360, representing a 7.5% gain on the month. Now, obviously, I can't expect such a gain every month, but a man can dream, right? I certainly can't complain here. Our HSA continued to drop this month, down almost $1,400 in March alone, despite adding additional funds to this account. And this is simply because we're still paying into our deductibles. Pretty soon I expect our coinsurance to kick in, so hopefully in the next month, the rate of decline should slow and we can even start building this back up. Perhaps the most interesting change this month was our car. I decided to check the Kelley Blue Book value, figuring a quarterly adjustment would make sense, but when I did, that actually told me that our vehicle went up in value. Given the way that car depreciation works, I didn't really think that sounded right, but looking around YouTube, I've actually seen other content creators saying that they've seen similar increases in car values. So I just gone ahead and left this the same here, and we'll check it out again the end of June. Switching gears to our retirement assets, these began the month at just over $105,000 in value, and after contributions, my company match, and gains, these are now worth almost $108,750. In addition to this, I do have unvested accounts, including my company pension plan and stock options. Because these would return to my employer if I were to leave before they are vested, I usually calculate my assets and my net worth both with and without these. Due to the leveraged nature of stock options, these tend to be highly volatile. True to form, this account rose by 10.5% in March to $96,720. Moving forward, the swings in this account may get even larger as I was distributed additional stock options in March. But as they have no inherent value until the stock price rises, due to this month's movement in my company's stock, they had really a minimal impact on my unvested value for March. Taken all together, our assets increased by approximately $16,600 this month to a total value of just over $940,000. With our unvested assets at a little under $100,000, our total vested assets sit at $843,330 at the end of March, with an increase of about $7,400, a little less than half of our total gains for the month. It's honestly hard for me to fathom, but if we can keep this rate up, we will actually exceed $1 million in assets before the end of the year. Now, that said, there's one thing that I did want to speak about greater length here, and that is an actual change in our overall goals for the year. I had originally been planning, as I've discussed in other videos, to invest some excess cash funds that were held over from last year when we were saving for our home down payment just into our normal brokerage account. However, my wife and I are in the family planning stage of our lives and have recently begun the process of in vitro fertilization, which comes with a considerable price tag of, and this is if all goes well, at least $10,000, and that's after assistance from our insurance. While certainly not the best financial decision, particularly given just how expensive kids end up being even after you have them, Forbes, for example, has ballparked this number at about $250,000 per child just to raise them to 18. But this isn't a financial decision. This is a personal one, and the right decision for our family. One of the best aspects of getting a firm understanding of our finances and building this financial foundation is the freedom we now have to make this decision without needing to stress about the cost. Sure, we could invest that money and grow it into a nice sum by retirement, but we have the savings necessary to invest in our family, content in the knowledge that we are taking the steps we need to in order to secure our financial future. Of course, assets are just one half of the equation. So let's talk liabilities. As will hopefully be a common theme on this channel, this month once again brings no new liabilities. This really won't take too long, with the only payments this month being minimum payments on all of our installment debts, the house, the car, student loans. Everything looks pretty similar to last month in that regard. The only real exception here are our credit cards, and to be clear, we do not carry a balance on these cards. The value you see is just the current spending that hasn't yet been due, and when it becomes due will be auto-paid in full. As I mentioned in our monthly budget videos, we don't specifically budget each month, but as you can see, despite that lack of oversight, our spending doesn't usually fluctuate all that much, at least month to month, unless there's a specific large purchase that we wish to make. Putting it all together, our liabilities dropped $1,726 this month, largely due to our minimum payments, and this leaves us with a final balance of $477,181 in liabilities, largely of course due to our mortgage. Applying basic subtraction, we now have a total net worth of, drumroll please, $462,869. This is an increase of a little over $18,300 on the month. If we look only at our vested funds, we're up to $366,149, an increase of just over $9,100. Putting all of this into perspective, we have two main goals that we're working towards, and we're now at 46.3% of our near-term goal of $1 million before age 40. And though the progress is 1/4 the rate, we continue to inch ever closer to our long-term $4 million goal, up this month to 11.6%. While investment gains certainly can snowball, this one's still a bit out of reach for the foreseeable future. A new aspect that I wanted to add this month tracks our progress year to date. So far, so good. In each month we've seen an increase in our net worth beyond where we stood the previous month. Of course, while our debts ought to continue to decrease each month with our monthly payments, as we do have considerable investments into stocks, this upward trajectory will likely see at least some dips as we continue. One thing that I've added to this chart are our liquid vested assets. These are the assets that we actually own that would not require the selling of a physical object to access the funds. So, this excludes things such as our car, home, and so on. While not all of this money is currently invested, things like our emergency fund are not, these are the funds that can actively be working to passively grow our net worth and are an integral part of our current financial security and our financial future. Although net worth is a nice benchmark to consider, ultimately when we reach retirement, be it conventional or early retirement, it is these liquid assets that we will be drawing from to provide our retirement income. As of today, we have just shy of $250,000 in these assets and look forward to seeing them grow. And that's it. March is in the bag. A relatively tame month overall, particularly given that it's sandwiched between February's bonus excitement and April, which not only may contain our tax return, but this year will actually be the first of 2 months with 3 pay periods as I'm paid bi-weekly. Nonetheless, March is yet another step along our path to financial independence. Is there any aspect that I'm not tracking that you think I should? Are you tracking your net worth? And if so, how did March go for you? Let me know in the comments section down below. But remember, net worth is just a number. It's a tool that you can use to set goals and track your progress, and is by no means a complete representation of a person's success. There are those with half of our net worth who are far closer to their financial goals than we are. And there are those with twice our net worth who may find themselves living paycheck to paycheck. But thank you all so much for watching this video all the way to the end. As a special treat, beginning in April, I'm actually planning to increase my schedule to release new videos twice a week. Once focusing on topics of personal finance, investing, retirement, and so on, and once specifically detailing our own financial journey, including monthly updates on our net worth, our budget and spending, investment portfolio, and the money missteps or saving successes we've had over the years. If that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, please hit the like button down below to show your support for the channel, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our new videos. I'll see you in the next one.